December 31st, the CDC begins developing reports for HHS after getting information about the virus from Wuhan. On January the 3rd, formal notification of COVID-19 from China to the CDC. This is all from the Washington Post article yesterday. 2 days later, U.S. spy agencies warned Trump in early January of an outbreak in the president's daily brief. January the 3rd, the CDC chief relays distributing news to HHS Azar. The disturbing news. On the same day, on the 3rd, Azar shares the Chinese virus notification with the White House and the National Security Council. This is all of this by January the 3rd. On January the 6th, the CDC offered assistance to China, who turned down that offer. That same week, the HHS convened an interagency task force on COVID-19 with HHS Secretary Azar, the CDC head, and Fauci. On the 8th of January, the CDC issued a public warning about the coronavirus. On the 14th of January, HHS Assistant Secretary Robert Cadillac begins drawing up plans to implement the Defense Production Act to fight the virus. Jonathan, I could go on practically every day that month. Things are happening. But this is on the 14th of January. He's drawing up plans so the president can use the Defense Production Act. Of course, that has been an ongoing fight. And he scribbles one word, Jonathan, on his notebook: coronavirus. This is on January the 14th. My God, 2 months later, I mean, it's still, actually coming up on 3 months later, it's still a mess. But even, 2 months after that, it was still chaos when it came to the Defense Production Act. As we go through this timeline that the Washington Post laid out, Azar, who had gotten the information at the beginning of January, when they were all getting together and meeting, and the intel community by January the 5th or 6th were warning the president in his daily briefings, tried for 2 weeks to get the president's ear. He finally got a phone call with him on the 18th. It was the 18th of January. Azar finally gets to talk to Trump about COVID-19. But Trump decides instead to talking about the pandemic, which, by the way, he had been warned about in his daily briefings. The president decides, since January 5th or 6th, the president decides instead to berate Azar, his HHS secretary, who's desperately trying to tell the president this, that he's angry at him over the HHS's attempts to limit vaping because it had backfired on him politically. And Azar said the president dismissed him as alarmist, and the secretary was so worried that he couldn't get the president's attention that he was asking an associate, how do I get him to pay attention to this? This is serious. Well, you keep going through this list, and you have the president on the 22nd saying that he's not worried at all. We have it totally under control. It's only one person from China. It's going to be fine. That's when he was in Davos, in his ivory tower in Davos on January the 22nd. And then, of course, on the 23rd, as China is completely shutting down Wuhan and also not cooperating with us and blocks the U.S. lab from obtaining virus samples. On the 24th, this is when Donald Trump said, January, we're still in January, by the way, friends. Right. Trump offers lavish praise on China and its president, saying, quote, China has been working very hard to contain the coronavirus. The United States greatly appreciates their efforts and transparency. It will work out well. In particular, on behalf of the American people, I want to thank President Xi. He praises China's transparency January the 24th, when it is China that will not give his own administration and health officials the information they need to prepare for this virus, soon to become a pandemic. It's just absolute chaos. The president's in Never Never Land for 70 days, and Americans are dying this week, in large part because we weren't prepared.